Okay. Hello, everyone. A quick confirmation before I proceed. Can you all hear my voice clearly? A quick confirmation. Okay, nice. So welcome to day 5 webinar. I hope you all are good. This is your instructor, Rizwan Mania, once again. I hope the previous 4 days were beneficial for you, and the previous 4 days really gave you the confidence that is required. So I hope it's going good, and it's not the end. Don't think that today is the 5th day, the last day. So yeah, we will not have webinar like this, but my support will be there. There are certain important things I've planned for you people. So yeah, remain active with me using the WhatsApp groups, and I will further guide you there. So let's start with day 5 agenda. And the agenda for today is, it's day 5. We started with budgets, variances, decision making. We had a discussion about performance measurement. Yesterday, I did share the $1 million plan as well. You people have that $1 million plan available, where I shared the links of the different topic videos further for a practice purpose. And today is advanced costing technique. So today's agenda is quite simple, clear. That we'll start with life cycle costing first. We'll do a question, then throughput. We'll do a question, then ABC. Then we'll do a question like this target costing, and further we'll move on. The plan for break remains the same. 5 minutes break at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Pakistan time. Okay. So those who are not part of my group, please just send me a quick WhatsApp at this number so that you become part of my group. And the upcoming plan I will share with you people, those who are right now taking the session. At the end of the session today, I'll be sharing the plan of action, how you need to study for the remaining days, what should be done, what should not be done, and how I will be giving you a support. We will be having a revision session as well, so I'll let you know about that. Anyways, so let's move on, and here we start with today's first area, life cycle costing. Before that, tip of the day, section B. Yeah, this tip is important. Today we'll be doing lots of section B questions, and we need to just refocus on these tips. So let's start with the first one. Read the case scenario requirements very carefully. Secondly, be able to apply knowledge of theories and techniques to the scenario given. Third, close reading is also important for identifying the instructions and the question on how to round off the answers. So round answers is important. Rounding off might take away too much from you. So first, we are starting with life cycle costing. Life cycle costing is a very important topic, and in past you see there are questions that have tested life cycle costing. So I just want to give you a good recap. If there are some missing elements, missing links in your concepts, so you will be able to cover those missing links, and then we'll move quickly towards the basketball question to see its application. So my friends, life cycle costing. Now the word costing is what? Let me tell you, today's entire session will give you a really good idea, will revise your section A completely, that is ABC, target, life cycle, and throughput. Okay. So life cycle costing, if you see here, the word costing is making this clear that we are doing the entire life costing, and how exactly we do this costing. So keeping in mind the basic definition, it's very simple. The definition is that we will calculate the entire life revenue, and we'll work out the entire life cost, and Like this, we are able to figure out the true profitability of the product. Okay, so it's all an estimation work. Let me tell you, life cycle costing is a planning technique, and you all do this in the planning phase or the development phase of the product life cycle. So you estimate that over the product life, maybe of 2 years or 3 years, what are the estimated revenues and what are the estimated costs, and by that estimated revenue and cost, you find the true profitability of a product, which will give you a very good idea at the initial phase whether the product will be profitable during its product life cycle or not. Okay, so here I want to add one thing when I say entire life cost. So here the biggest confusion comes, and that is what kind of cost. So remember, my friends, you have to consider all types of costs that relates to product. A cost that relates to product should be considered anyway. Okay, you have to consider that whether it's a whether it's a recurring cost. You know what recurring cost is? A cost that you will be incurring again and again, like your production cost, like your distribution cost, like your marketing cost. Okay, and it will also include non-recurring cost. And what exactly non-recurring is? It means cost that is of one time, cost that is one off. Like for example, research and development is an initial cost that you incur at the initial phase. So research and development cost is what you incur at the initial phase of the product life cycle. And if I give you example of latest products like electronic items, like games, like movies, I would say, like different electronic product like cell phones. So the major cost, around 80 to 90%, is incurred in the development phase. Okay, so you can't ignore this cost because the major cost is a one that incurs at the development phase. So you have to consider entire life cost, whether it's a recurring cost or it's a non-recurring cost. Okay, I would like to add one more thing here, and that is uh, environmental cost is also part of this. Now, environmental cost is what, like your decommissioning cost. Okay, decommissioning cost means that when the product life cycle will end, you need to incur a decommissioning cost. For example, you took a land, you took a place, and you have that place for 3 years, and you're producing a certain product on that place. Now, decommissioning cost is the one that once you leave that place after 3 years, you have to make sure that the place is in the same position as it was when you took that, right? So you have to make sure that that place is in the same position as it was 3 years back. So whatever cost you will incur should also be considered. Okay, so that is environmental cost. Maybe some kind of waste disposal you need to incur at the end of the product life cycle. That should also be considered. Okay, normally there is a big confusion that whether this cost does include opportunity cost. So let me clear this right now, that it doesn't include opportunity cost. It never includes opportunity cost, because opportunity cost is the cost of second best alternative foregone. So it doesn't include opportunity cost. Now, what is opportunity cost? As I mentioned you earlier yesterday, in fact, day before yesterday, we had a discussion about relevant costing. So opportunity cost is the cost of second best alternative for growth. So opportunity cost is relevant for decision making. It is relevant for relevant costing. But in life cycle costing, we do not consider opportunity cost because the principle of life cycle is totally different. And what is that principle? I told you, life cycle costing says that you have to consider the entire life cycle revenues and entire life cycle costs, and that cost should include all types of costs that relates to the product development, production, everything that relates to product. Okay, so we can't take opportunity costs like these, because if we start taking opportunity costs like these, the cost that we are adding here as an opportunity cost is because we have done a sacrifice of some other product and something like that. So that will automatically impair the profitability of the product. Okay, so we can't take opportunity cost here because that is not related to the production directly. Okay, so as I mentioned, the basic definition is clear. When I say life cycle costing, so you should keep in your mind that entire life revenues matched with entire life cost. Okay, to measure the true profitability. Now, and the cost includes everything. Don't get confused in the paper. Examiner will try to cheat you people. So don't get confused in the paper. Make sure you include all the cost when you're doing the calculation of that. But yes, not opportunity cost. Now, before I move towards my question in just 2 to 3 minutes time, I just want to tell you how life cycle costing will come in your paper. I'm talking about the types of question that can be tested relating to life cycle costing. So according to my research that I've done, examiner is asking two types of question relating to life cycle costing. Okay, and if you do a possible analysis, you will even find that as well. So the first type of question that can come in your paper is about the calculation of entire life cycle cost per unit. So the question can come in the paper which will ask you to calculate the entire life cycle cost per unit. Okay. Now, if you work out entire life cycle cost per unit, so what will you do exactly? So it's very simple. I'm just telling you the formula for that. If the question requires you to work out entire life cycle cost per unit, so what you have to do, you have to first work out the total life cycle cost, okay, and you will divide that with total life units. Okay, so it's a very simple formula here, that if you're required to work out the total life cycle cost per unit, so just work out the entire life cycle cost, take the cost of all the years, just add those costs and then divide that with the entire life number of units, so you will get the entire life cycle cost average per unit. Okay, so this is one method to work out this, and this is the first type of category I would say that is tested in your paper. Okay, so if you keep this in your mind that this is the first type of question that can come in your examination, as I mentioned, right? Now, what second can come in your paper? So it might, the second possibility that can come in your exam is to work out entire life profitability. Okay, entire life profitability. So the second type of question that can come in your paper is about entire life profitability. Okay, entire life profitability. So what exactly now you need to do here in terms of entire life profitability? Okay, so entire life profitability, what you need to do for entire life profitability. So it's a very simple formula, I'm telling you. This is second type of question that can come in your paper. And what you need to do in case of this one, so I'll tell you here. You just refer back to here. If you need to work out entire life profitability, so the simple formula to work out is entire life revenue minus entire life cost is equals to entire life profitability. That's it. Okay. So the best way to work out entire life profitability is to do what? Just accumulate the entire life revenues and just deduct from that entire life cost, which includes everything that pertains to product, and the difference is known as entire life profitability. So my friends, there are two types of question that can come in your paper. So make sure you are clear about this. If it is entire life cycle cost per unit, so you just do one thing, just add up the entire life cycle cost and divide that with the total life units. And if the question is asking you about the entire life profitability, so in that case, what you have to do is you work out the entire life revenues, you work out entire life cost, and just calculate the difference of these two, and that will be giving you entire life profitability. So that will be giving you entire life profitability. Okay. So I hope this is clear to all of you, right? Okay. So guys, are we ready to move now? Yeah, it does include depreciation as well. Yeah, it does include depreciation, because that pertains to the product, right? So yeah, it does include. Okay. Okay. So, are we clear about this, guys? Say yes before I move towards my first question. Okay. So, all set to move towards the uh, first question, and let's now switch to the question. So here I am with a different past paper question to the one that I did in last webinar of March 2020. So this is a very good question, and let's see how this is testing the things. Okay, shoe company. A shoe manufacturer has developed a new product called Smart Shoe for school for children, which has a built-in tracking device. The shoes are expected to have a life cycle of 2 years. So remember, life cycle costing is very much suited to products that have a short life cycle. Okay, I'll explain you that once I move towards the advantages of that as well. So life cycle two life cycle of 2 years, at which point shoe company hopes to introduce a new type of smart shoe which with even more advanced technology. Shoe company plans to use life cycle costing. Now, if someone says you, we are planning to use life cycle costing. Okay. So the next thing that should come in your mind. So the next thing that should come in your mind is what entire life revenues accumulated, entire life cost accumulated. Okay. And through this you can work out the entire life profitability. To work out the total production cost of smart shoe and total estimated profit for 2 years period. Shoe company has spent 5.6 million developing the smart shoe. The time spent on this development meant that the company missed out on the opportunity of earning an estimated of 800,000 contribution from the sale of another product. So tell me guys, is this 800,000 right now important for life cycle costing? No, it's not, right? It's not, because we will classify this as what? We will classify this as an opportunity cost, and for life cycle costing, we will not consider this. Okay. The company has applied for and been granted a 10-year patent for the technology, although it must be renewed each year at a cost of 200,000. The cost of patent application were 500,000, which included 20,000 for the salary cost of shoe company's lawyer, who was permanent employee of the company and was responsible for preparing the application. Okay. Uh, the following information relating to smart shoe is also available for the next 2 years. So we have total smart shoe revenue. So This is the accumulated revenue that has already been given to us here. So that's fine. We have 2 years life details of sales volume, material cost, labor cost, total fixed production overhead, and selling and distribution cost. Okay. So the first OT is about a theoretical question. So I will come back to this one. I'm quickly just moving first towards the computation one, which is a fill in the blank question. Okay, now this is a fill in the blank question. And for fill in the blank question, it is extremely important that you have to follow the decimal policy, whatever given in the question. Uh, if you are not understanding the right decimal policy, even you've done the right calculation, but because the question was asking you to give answer by rounding off to 2 decimal places, so you don't know how to round off to 2 decimal place, or you did a small mistake in that, so your marks will be gone. You will not be getting marks at all. Okay, you will not be getting marks at all, and no marks will be given to you at all. Okay, so this is what you need to keep in your mind, that fill in the blanks questions require a proper following of decimal policy, otherwise it can result in wrong answers. So this is what I'm focusing right now. What is, okay, where it is, yeah. Come on, you people tell me by reading the question whether it's I told you 2 types of question that can come in the paper. So you tell me which type you think is this one. What is the total expected profit for shoe company on smart shoe for the 2 year period? So can you tell me here, is this question, which is asking you to work out the total expected profit, is this first type of question or second type of question? Come on, you tell me very quickly, friends. So yeah, a good response. It's a second type of question which requires you to work out the estimated revenue, which is already given in the question, and now you need to work out the entire life cycle cost to work out true profitability of the product. Now, because this is an objective test question of your paper, so you know that now you don't have any restriction as what the format should be and what the logical structure should be. You are not required to follow all those things now. Now you can just work on your own. You can use your own scientific calculators. There is no need to use a spreadsheet for that as well. So let's start with the working, and we are given with okay, so we are given with here number one, the estimated revenue. So I have estimated revenues given in the question. So I'll definitely will use that estimated revenue figure which is given to me in the question, and that is 34.3 million. Okay, so that's 34.3 million figure that is given to me. Okay, let's write in complete numbers. Okay. Now, after this, I will be deducting the cost. So less cost. For that, I will work out the entire life cycle cost. So please help me here. Let's see what we need to use, what we will not be using here. So I'm going back. The area of details are given to me. So let's start with something which is much easier. So come on, I'll ask you one by one and you will reply me by saying yes or no. So is material cost important and labor cost important in case of life cycle costing? So the answers are yes. A quick yes from you people. It's very easy. Material cost is 16 multiplied by 280,000, 14 multiplied by 420,000. So you just need to multiply these. Same for labor cost, 8 multiplied by 280,000 and 7 multiplied by 420,000. Okay, so I expect you people to be solving with me as well here. So I'll start with the total material cost first, and let's see who will give me a quick answer first. So starting with material cost, 280,000 multiplied by 16. I'm just using thousands here just to make my calculation look short. So 420 multiplied by 14, and let me see who is giving me a quick answer here. So the figure that I'm getting for material is 10360,000, right? So this is material cost. Now coming towards the total costs, sorry, labor cost. So I'm working out the total labor cost. Remember, now format is not important here. So 280 multiplied by 8 plus 420 multiplied by 7, and the answer that I am getting here is 551, sorry, 5180,000, right? So yeah, good. People are responding fast. So done with these two, right? Now, what do you think? Should I take fixed production overheads and selling and distribution costs here as well? So the answers are yes. People are saying yes, I should, because yeah, it relates to product, so I should take that. So I would be taking here fixed production cost or overheads. It was written here, so I should write overheads. And how much is the figure of that? So the figure is 388,3800,000. As for selling and distribution, so we are given with the figure of that as well. And what is the figure? The figure is 1.5 million, right? 1.5 million. So it's 1.5 million. Okay. So selling distribution done, fixed production done. Now let's come towards more complicated areas here. And here we are. So starting from the first paragraph, line number 4, which says that the company plans to use life cycle costing to work out the total production cost of smart shoe and total estimated profit for 2-year period. Shoe company has spent 5.6 million developing the smart shoe. So should I consider 5.6 million development cost? A quick answer, please, everybody. Everybody should write, okay? Yeah, so majority is saying yes, and even if majority was not saying yes, this is a cost that relates to the product. So we should consider this development and design cost of 5.6 million without any doubt. Okay, so yeah, this is what I have to consider. Now, after this, let's move on. The time spent on this development meant that the company missed out on the opportunity of earning an estimated 800,000 contribution. So we should not take this, right? What do you think? This is the opportunity cost. I made this clear earlier as well. This is not relevant to the product, so we will not be considering this, okay? So we'll not consider this. Any arguments here regarding this one? Okay, so we are not considering this. So let's move on. The next is the company has applied for and been granted. Okay, I did mention, David, before that opportunity cost will not be considered just because this is not a one that directly relates to the product development. Uh, at the end of the day, if you are working out profitability of any product, so will you ever consider the opportunity cost that is relevant there? You will never. If you made a product, for example, David, if you made a product and you you want to calculate the profitability of that product, so what do you think? What do you think? Will you take the opportunity cost of the sacrifice that you did for some other product? Obviously not. Obviously not. Okay, you will not do that because uh, at the end of the day, to be honest, we are sacrificing every day for one product and we're leaving the other product, right? So if we start charging all kind of opportunity costs in calculating the profitability of any product, this means we will never end up in profits. To be honest, right, David? So it's not relevant here to consider opportunity cost. In relevant costing, yes, it was, because that is decision making technique. You were taking decisions using that, but not here the case. Okay, David? So I hope this is clear. So why are we not taking opportunity cost? Because that is not a cost that relates directly for the product. Okay, now what do you think about the patent they took for technology, and it must be renewed each year at a cost of 200,000. So should we take this 10-year patent? Should we take this patent cost? Yes or no? Okay. So the answer is yes, we should take this patent cost, right? We should take this patent cost. Yeah. Now, 200,000 per year. So should I multiply this with 10 or 2? 10 or 2? Obviously 2, because the product life is of 2 years. No, we can't do this for 10. That's wrong. We need to multiply this with 2 because the product life cycle is of 2 years. You want to work out the profitability of 2 years. Okay, so we will be taking 2 here because the product life is of 2 years. So we'll be multiplying this with 2, and this will be 400,000. Okay, because we are working out 2 years profitability. The life is of 2 years. So why I charge the entire 10-year cost here? Okay, getting the point? So for this product profitability, I will be considering 2 only. Okay, so yeah, this is done. Now the next is the cost of patent application were 500,000, which included 20,000 for the salary cost of shoe company's lawyer, who is permanent employee of the company and was responsible for preparing the application. So first of all, should I take 500,000 here? Should I take 500,000 here? So the answer is yes, I should be taking 500,000 because that application was for which product? For this product. For this product. So it relates to product. It should be part of the product costing because patent you took for this product, right? So yeah, you will take this, and this is a relevant figure for you. Now the question is, should we take 20,000 as well, or should we remove 20,000 from this? Now let's see how many people will answer me. Should we remove or should we take? Okay. Now this question was really a one which gave you an impression of relevant costing somewhere, right? What do you think? You are mixed up with relevant costing as well. So this is not relevant costing, to be honest. This is not relevant costing. This is life cycle costing. So try to understand the concept, as I initially emphasized a lot. Entire life cycle cost should be worked out, which means if the lawyer was part of the application preparation, so this means a resource was consumed on the application, and if resource was consumed, so we should charge that. If a lawyer has spent 2 hours on this and 2 hours cost is, for example, 20,000. So to work out the profitability of the product, to find out the real profitability of the product, we should charge this 2 hours cost. What do you think? Yes or no? Yes, we should charge. Exactly. This is not relevant costing, because we'll say this is a sunk cost or this is a committed cost. We are not doing relevant costing here. We are not following rule of 6 here. In fact, what we are doing is that we are computing the entire life cost, and for that, yes, this should be considered. We can't remove this. So my friends, those who are getting confused here, with relevant costing, make sure that this is not relevant costing. Yeah, so 20,000 is included, and we should take that because if I want to work out the right profitability of the product, I need to deduct this 20,000. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I should not deduct this 20,000 because this includes the cost of a resource that was used in this work of shoe manufacturing. Okay, so yes, I should not exclude this. I will take this. So this means I will definitely take this figure of entire 500,000, which is basically the cost of patent application. Okay, so guys, are we left with anything else to consider here, or we are done with everything? Are we left with anything else? I don't think we are left with anything else here. I don't think we are left with anything else. We have done everything here, and yes, we are done with everything. So nothing left. So yes, it's time to work out the profitability. And what is the method to do it? So it's very simple. Entire life revenue minus entire life cost will give you the profitability. So all set to work out the profitability without any hesitation. And let's see what answer my friends will tell me here. If I deduct the entire cost from the figure of revenue, so I will be getting the answer of 343000000, and this, I beg your pardon, this is the revenue. So I'm getting 6960000, and this is my entire life profit. Okay, so this is the answer, guys. Now, do you have any questions relating to my answer? Please tell me. Do you have any questions here? Kindly tell answer style. Answer style, yes. Now, right now, if you see here, if I just move towards the question, so let's have a look that what question required actually. So, okay. So in this case, if you see here that nothing has been mentioned to us, so we'll be using full numbers here. Nothing has been mentioned to us in this case, so we'll be using full numbers to write the answer. Okay, and I'll be writing the answer with complete numbers. I will not round it off because no policy of rounding off to millions or thousands is given to me here. So I will not do anything. I will write the exact figure that I've worked out, and this is what I have to do now. But if in case in paper, if it was required to use nearest thousands or nearest millions, so in that case, then you have to round it off. So right now I'll be writing full numbers. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay. Okay, any other question? Any other question? Understood, everybody? Okay. Okay, great. So we are done with this one. Now let's move towards the next requirement. But before moving towards the next requirement, but we have one here. So let's now solve question number 4 first. Yeah, this is question number 4. Then I'll come to the theory parts. So shoe company is negotiating with marketing companies with regard to its advertising campaign on other product, smart boots. Okay. Shoe company is uncertain as to what the total marketing cost will be each year. However, the following information is available as regard the probabilities of the range of costs which are likely to be incurred. Okay. So, friends, remember a quick one whenever okay I will proceed with the second one. Don't issue. I'll tell you. First, let me solve this one. Okay, in, I can increase the size. Is it fine now? Is it better? Okay, I hope this is now good. So, yeah. So now remember that if you are given with probability, so what are you supposed to do? Remember a very simple thing. Whenever you have probabilities, like the probability is given to here, okay, 0.2, 0.5, 0.1. So you should all know that sum of probability is equals to 1, right? And here you have the probabilities as well. Sum of probability is equals to 1. So whenever probability is given, so first of all, what is exactly a probability? Probability is chance of occurring an event. How much chance you expect an event, how much chances there are for a certain thing to arise. So that is probability. Okay. So when probabilities are given to you, remember without any hesitation, whether probabilities are given to you in budgets, whether here, whether somewhere else, you have to work out one thing, and that is known as expected value. Okay, expected value. So whenever you are given probabilities, you have to work out expected value. And expected value is what? Expected value is what that is given to you in risk and uncertainty topic as well. If you remember, expected value was part of risk and uncertainty as well, right? So how we work out expected value? A basic formula is summation x into probability. So this is what? This is submission. Submission means sum of. X is what? X is the outcome. Okay. And what is P? P is the probability. So this is how we work out expected value. So whenever you are given with expected value, without a hesitation, work out expected value. So let's work out. As they are not certain with what will be the marketing cost in year 1 and year 2, so to work out expected value for that. So let's do it. Year 1 expected value. So the outcome multiplied by probability. So the chance of cost being 2.2 is 0.2. The chance of cost to be 2.6 is 0.5. Okay. And the chance of cost to be 2.9 is 0.3. So multiply probability with the outcome. So outcome multiplied by probability plus outcome multiplied by probability plus outcome multiplied by probability, and like this you will get the expected value. Okay. So if anyone can confirm me what is the year 1 expected value you are getting, and now keep this in your mind that the options that are given to you right now are in millions. So when options are given to you in millions, so if you follow that, in the previous fill in the blank question, nothing was mentioned. So you use entire figures in that case. Okay. There was no decimal policy was not given to you. So without hesitation, you would have used the complete numbers. But now you have to follow this million thing. Okay. So the figure that you're getting is 2.61 million, right? Is that so? 2.61 million. Please confirm. Okay. What about the second year? So exactly similar thing I will be doing for year 2 as well. 1.8 multiplied by zero point 0.3 plus 2.1 multiplied by 0.4 plus 2.3 multiplied by 0.3. Okay. Now, if you add these, so you'll get year 2 value. And can anyone of you confirm me what is year 2 expected value that you are getting, right? It's 2.07, okay, million. So nothing is given as regard the decimal policy. The only thing you can figure out here is your answer should be in millions. So what you do, you add 2.07 with 2.61 and you will get an exact answer of 4.68 million. Okay, exact answer of 4.68 million. So here, no issues as far as the decimals are concerned. You have to take the entire answer that is in millions, which is 4.68 million. Okay. Now, if let me just give you a few other possibilities idea. If the question asked you to round off to one decimal place in millions, so what would be the answer? One decimal place in millions. Come on, what would be the answer then? If the question required you to round off to one decimal place in millions. So the answer would have been, because this is 4.68, okay? So the second figure, the second decimal is more than 5, it's 8. So the second figure is basically more than 5. So this means you will convert that completely into 7, okay? So in that case, it will be 4.7 million. So the question required you in fill in the blank, I'm talking about precisely. So if it required you to round off to one decimal place in millions, so the answer would be 4.7 million. One more thing, if it requires you to round off to the nearest million, nearest million. So now what would be the answer? Nearest million, and especially that is a fill in the blank question is nearest million. So I can see clear errors. Okay. So the answer in that case will be 5 million. 5 million. Now why? Just understand one small thing. After the decimal, that is 4 decimal 68. Okay. So after the decimal, when the figure is more than 5, okay, or 50, I would say, because there are two decimal places here. So 4.68 million. So 68. So this is more than 50. So in that case, you will completely change the figure and go for the higher side. Go for the higher side then. If it is more than 50, go for the higher side. If it is less than 50, go for the lower side. For example, if it could have been 4.23 million, 4.23 million, then after the decimal you have 23, right, which is less than 50. Yeah, which is less than 50. So in that case you go for the lower side. So in that case your answer would have been 4 million. Okay, 4 million. So my friends, understand the criteria that after decimal and whatever is given in the question has to completely just round up to the nearest millions. So in that case, you have to see that after the decimal, whatever numbers you have are those more than 50, more than 100, more than 500, keeping in mind the decimals that are after that. Because right now it's two decimals here. If it is three decimals, so then the criteria would have been what? By looking at 500. So you would have seen if it is more than 500, then go for the higher side. If it is less than 500, go for the lower side. So after decimal, you have to see how many digits are given, and according to that, you have to decide. So simple, the criteria is of 5. 5. More than 5, higher side. Less than 5, lower side. Someone asked me this question, so I think I've answered that. Okay. Now this is expected value. Now this is expected value. So this is the value that we have worked out using EV. So this is the maximum value that we have worked out. Okay. Okay. Now if it is 4.5, so again then we'll go towards the higher side. So if it is 5 or more, higher side. If it is less than 5, then the lower side. Okay, Vakas? So if it is 4.5, then the higher side, which means 5 million. Okay? Okay. So I have answered these small issues of yours. I'm sure this will give you a good understanding. What do you think, guys? Now, having done with this question, time to go back to my presentation and just quickly skim through the advantages of life cycle costing. So the technique life cycle costing provides certain advantages for an organization. These are the typical stages a product goes through life cycle. So you should know the name of the stages like development, introduction, growth, maturity, decline. Uh, Now we are concerned here, what are the advantages of this technique life cycle costing? So if I ask you that what is life cycle costing? So what comes in your mind? What should come in your mind after listening life cycle costing? So listen. The next thing that should come in your mind is that this technique is a one that says to accumulate the entire life cycle cost and to accumulate the entire life cycle revenues, okay, revenues, and through this you are able to understand the profitability of the product, and all this is done at the planning stage. Okay, all this is done at the planning stage. So that is why we say life cycle is a planning technique. Okay, so what advantages you can get from life cycle costing technique? First of all, you will get the advantage when you are setting the prices. You all know that when you are launching a new product, so the price that you set in introduction will be different to the price that you set in growth, will be different to the price that you set in maturity. So normally if it is a new product, we set a lower price in introduction, and when we move towards growth, we increase the price because the product has become more popular. But in maturity, as you know, the competition is at its peak. So in that case, your what you say, your prices goes down, okay, because of competition. So uh, you need to set prices according to different stages of life cycle. So life cycle costing gives you the advantage. You know what advantage? That is, whenever you are setting the price, you have one thing in front of you, and that is entire life cycle cost per unit. So whatever price you set that keeping in mind the entire life cycle average cost per unit. Now you tell me, if you know what is the average cost per unit of the entire product life, so it will always be easy for you to set the price, and it will always be easy for you to make sure that whatever price you are setting, whether it's high or low, that price is at least covering your entire life cycle cost. Okay, so the advantage that you are getting through life cycle costing is that when you take pricing decisions for the different product life cycle, uh, entire life cycle costs per unit is in front of you, and keeping that in mind, you can set a right price in different stages. Okay. Most profitable stage is in terms of total profits, it's maturity in terms of total profits. Okay, in terms of total profits, because the most number of units you are selling in maturity phase. Okay. Second advantage is 80 to 90%. As I mentioned earlier, if you see here, I did mention that uh, products relating to which 80 to 90% cost is incurred in the development phase. So for those products, life cycle costing is really useful. Okay, really useful. You know why? Because products that like electronic items, okay, like cell phone. When you make a cell phone, your major cost is incurred in the development phase. So products whose major cost is incurred in the development phase, for those products, uh, life cycle costing is really beneficial, because if your major cost is incurred in the early phase, so you are in the best position. You are in the best position to reduce the cost in the early stage. Okay, if your major cost will be incurred in the early stage, So you are in a best position to reduce that cost as well in the early stage. So products, just listen and note down things. Products relating to which we can say that their major cost is incurred in the early phase, life cycle costing is really good for those products, because if you are incurring major costs at the early phase, you have a very good opportunity to reduce that cost in the early stage as well. Okay. Secondly, you are able to take right decisions about the product as well. Okay. For example, if I give you example of the question that we did, and we worked out the profitability estimated one for the shoe here, and that was 6 point something, 6.9, I think that was the profit. Now what we can do is we can take a decision whether we should go for this or not. If we think 6.9 million is a good profit for the company, keeping in mind the scale of the company, then yes, we will go for that product. But if we think no, we have some other option available, some better option available that can give us more profit, so we can go for that product. So this is the luxury you have with life cycle costing, that it gives you a really good chance to make right decisions initially before starting the production, because it's all estimation. Okay. Then target cost, which means target cost could be established at the earliest phase of the life cycle, that is in the development phase. We can use technique of target costing as well. Once we move towards target costing, so you will get to know what target costing is. But yes, target costing technique is the one that you can use in the development phase. The last advantage is it is useful for products having short life cycle. Okay. Now, why life cycle costing is useful for products that have a short life cycle? The simple answer is you will get a realistic estimate. Okay, because the technique is what? Estimation of entire life cycle revenues, estimation of entire life cycle cost. So if you have a short product life cycle, so it will be easy for you to estimate 2 years revenues compared to 10 years revenues. It will be easy for you to estimate 2 years cost compared to 15 years cost, right? So yeah, estimation will become more accurate, and it will give you a precise profitability idea which you can consider to make your decisions. So yeah, it's useful for products having short life cycle. Now a small gift for you to make it easy for you to learn. So I'm telling you a small mnemonic here to learn the advantages in the mnemonic form as a shortcut. So that is PERTS, where P is for price, where E is for 80 to 90%, where R is for right decisions, where T is for target cost, and S is for short life cycle. So guys, did you like the mnemonic? And what is the mnemonic? Advantages of life cycle costing. The mnemonic is what? Can you tell me quickly, guys? It's PERTS. Come on, write it down. It's PERTS. Okay. P for price, E for 80 to 90%, R for right decisions, T for target cost, and S for short life cycle. So very easy to remember, right? PERTS. Now, having considered this, let's move towards the theoretical questions of life cycle costing here in the question. The first one I'm moving towards is this one, which says that, come on, you decide which two of the following statements about life cycle costing are true. So we need to follow the true statements of life cycle costing. Okay. Life cycle costing should not be used by shoe company because the material per unit difference between 2 years of life of the product. Now, is it true or false? So the answer is false. We have never studied anything like that, that we should not use any products like this one. Like, okay, so it's wrong. What do you think, guys? You are not replying me. Yeah, it's false. Okay. Life cycle costing should not be used by shoe company because the life cycle of smart shoe is short. So how? If the life cycle of smart shoe is short, this means should we use life cycle costing or we should not use life cycle costing? Yeah, the answer is we should be using life cycle costing. So that's wrong. It is exactly feasible for products having short life cycle. So that's wrong. Third, life cycle costing should be used by shoe company because it will provide the true financial cost of producing the shoe. That is right. That is right. That is true. Sometimes students do say why two. So I tell them it's the best estimate that you find out through life cycle costing. Okay, the best estimate. Last, a higher price should be charged by shoe company from the start as the product will be unique. Now here you need to have an understanding of price skimming technique as well. So it is related to skimming here as well. Because if the product is unique, you know that we've covered skimming in our previous days. So if the product is unique, yeah, in that case we can charge a higher price. So it depends on product to product because scenario did mention that it is a unique product, which means it is a good option to for you to charge the higher price. Secondly, you also remember that skimming was also useful when product life cycle is short. So yeah, it's a 2-year life. This means you can use skimming here. Okay. So it is more generalized one. I would say the last statement required the knowledge of skimming. So the answer, the correct one is D. 3 and 4 are correct. Right? Okay. Okay. Right. Done, guys? Clear? No issues? Perfect. So did you get a good revision of life cycle costing? What do you think? A good revision? Okay. Yes, no replies from you people. Okay, right. Now it's time for a break. As you know that we have a break after 1 hour. So let's take a 5-minute break. Those who are new to this session today, quickly send me the WhatsApp on this number so that I can share the group link. I will be sharing a very, very good plan for you people after this webinar. So if you want to know the plan, be part of my groups. Okay, guys, welcome back. Now, I just saw one question here, and that was repeat 80 to 90%. Now, let me tell you, products that products that relating to those products relating to which major cost is incurred at the initial phase, like major research and development costs is incurred at the initial phase. As I gave you example, if you manufacture a cell phone, you manufacture any PlayStation game or an electronic item, so the major cost will be incurred at the initial phase. Okay, so if that is incurred in the initial phase, so this means that life cycle costing is useful for those products because any product there's any product relating to which the major cost is incurred in the initial phase, it gives you a really good chance to reduce the cost at the initial phase. Okay, so that is what my point regarding 80 to 90% was. So for products whose major cost is incurred in the initial phase, yeah, life cycle costing is useful because it gives you a really good opportunity at the initial phase to match its revenue with its cost. Okay. Okay, now let's move on towards the next one. Quickly, let's summarize and recap throughput. So please listen. I'll give you a quick good revision and then we'll move towards the past paper question. Theory of constraint is a theory, and this theory says that every organization, every organization is faced with a limiting factor. Limiting factor is what? Limiting factor is the constraint, I would say. Okay, so you can even call this limiting factor. You can call this as a bottleneck resource. Okay, so this is basically theory of constraint. So according to this, theory of constraint is a one in which says that every organization has a limiting factor, maybe shortage of hours, maybe shortage of or maybe shortage of material, maybe shortage of machine hours. So according to theory of constraint, every organization has a limiting factor which doesn't allow that organization to maximize its profits. Okay, so it suggested different solutions to this. So there are two we have here. One is the long run solution, one is the short run solution. So long run solution was to eliminate the limiting factor. Now what eliminate is very easy. If for example you have shortage of machine hours, okay, so elimination means that if there is shortage of machine hours, so you bring a new machine into an organization. If you bring a new machine, that will eliminate the limiting factor, which means that more hours now will be available for the machine. If labor is the shortage, okay, so if labor is the shortage, so bring more labor, hire more labor, and that will eliminate the limiting factor because more hour will be available. So elimination here means acquisition of more resource of that particular thing will remove that limiting factor. But remember, after this, it says that elimination of one limiting factor, which means if you acquired more machines, so machine hours will not be a limiting factor anymore. So it says that elimination of one limiting factor will give rise to another limiting factor. Yes, yes, which means if you acquire a new machine, now you have more machine hours. So obviously, if you have more machine hours, so machine is not a limiting factor. But now, if machine is not the limiting factor, so other resource will become a limiting factor. Maybe there will be shortage in terms of labor hours or maybe in terms of material kgs. So yes, it says that elimination of one limiting factor give rise to another limiting factor, and this will be a long run process, which means once you eliminate one limiting factor, the other limiting factor will show up then, and like this will continue to move on every time this will continue to move on like this. So the strategy is eliminate bottleneck and a new bottleneck will arise. Other solution is short-term solution known as throughput accounting, and throughput accounting is a short-term solution. So in short run, we can use technique of throughput accounting to deal with limiting factor. Okay, so this technique is a one that it actually deals with the limiting factor. So you can deal with limiting factor using throughput accounting. Let's have a look what throughput accounting is. Concept number one is in throughput, sales minus all material cost is throughput, and according to throughput, material is the only variable cost. Okay, let me tell you quickly, throughput has a clash with marginal costing. Throughput versus marginal costing. If you want to know that what marginal costing is, so you know it's contribution based, and in marginal costing, it's sales minus all variable cost was contribution. So a quick one, marginal costing used to say that every cost like material, labor, variable production overheads, variable non-production overheads, it used to treat all the cost as a variable cost, but throughput is a very short-term technique, even more short-term than marginal costing. So according to throughput, material is the only variable cost. Okay. Secondly, throughput believes in keeping no inventory, okay, no inventory or low inventory, and that should be insignificant one. So it believes not in keeping inventory, but it believes in selling the inventory. So it says that you should ideally you should have no inventory, or if you need to keep, so that inventory should be insignificant. Okay, insignificant. Third major concept is of operating expenses. According to throughput accounting, operating expenses is a fixed cost. Yes, it's a fixed production cost. So it's a production one, and it's a fixed production cost. Okay. So according to throughput, it includes those things that were considered variable in marginal costing. So it says that it includes direct labor, variable production overheads, and fixed production overheads obviously will be part of this. So according to throughput accounting, operating expenses is a fixed nature cost, and it includes direct labor, variable production overheads, and fixed production overheads. So by nature, throughput says that it is a fixed cost. Yes, so this is a big difference if I compare throughput with marginal costing, because marginal costing was our technique that used to say that labor and variable production overheads are variable in nature, whereas throughput says no, it's a very short-term technique, and it says that it is a fixed cost. Okay, so operating expense is what you need to keep in your mind. It's a operating expense is assumed to be fixed in nature. Now, a major calculation that comes for throughput is throughput accounting ratio, which you need to work out. And this is a formula that you have here. It says that throughput accounting ratio is equals to throughput per hour of limiting factor, operating expense per hour of limiting factor. So everything is dependent upon limiting factor. Yes, it's obvious. Everything is dependent upon limiting factor because throughput is dealing with limiting factor. Okay, so everything is dependent on limiting factor. Now it says to work out the numerator, you have a formula, throughput per unit divided by limiting factor hours per unit. Okay, and to work out denominator, you have a formula, total operating expenses divided by total limiting factor hours. Okay, so my friends, if you're new to throughput accounting, you need to know that finding throughput per hour of limiting factor is worked out using throughput per unit and limiting factor hours per unit. So in this, there are two things that are per unit. When you're working at operating expenses per hour of limiting factor, so to take total operating expenses and total limiting factor hours. So in this case, it's total, whereas in the first one, it was per unit. Okay. So what will this indicate is a question mark. So it's very simple. If the answer of throughput accounting ratio, is more than 1, it's more than 1, or if the answer is less than 1, so what exactly we are supposed to do? Okay, so let's now look at the answer. Let's find out the answer. Let's see if it is more than 1, so what will we be doing? And if it is less than 1, so what we'll be doing? So for that, it's time to move towards a past paper question to see that what exactly we need to do. But as I moved towards the past paper, my $1,000,000 point stopped me again. And they are saying that for a question of throughput accounting ratio, dear candidates, note down these $1,000,000 points. Number one, identify limiting factor. The most important thing while you are reading the question is to find out the limiting factor. Okay, you need to find it or it will be given, and if it is given, you are lucky. If you need to find out, so there are different $1,000,000 techniques that I have through which you can find out that as well, but we'll decide this after the question. Yes, the first thing to look here is limiting factor. Now, just to make things easy for you, by looking at the trend of ACCA exams, I would say here that if a question comes about a manufacturing business, so in that manufacturing, normally it's expected that machine would be the limiting factor. Whereas if you get a question of a service business, there are many chances that labor be the limiting factor, but material in throughput will not be the limiting factor. Okay, so in case of manufacturing, it's machine. In case of services, it's labor. So we are done with this. First, you need to find out, or you're given with the limiting factor. If from both the ways you found out what is the limiting factor, so identify limiting factor total hours. Everything will be based on that. Okay, and limiting factor hours per unit, total hours and hours per unit. So just find out those in the scenario and identify selling price and material cost as well, because through this you can work out throughput. Okay, throughput. Now, my friends, what I have seen in these last 14 years of my teaching, that students struggle when they see a question that comes for service industry rather than manufacturing one. Because if I say manufacturing, so you are very much clear: product, cost per unit. Yeah, you are very much familiar. Direct material, direct labor. Yeah, very much comfortable. And when you have a service business question, you start getting, confused, because if it is a salon business, it is a hospital, if it is a school, so material will not be that typical one and it used to be in the manufacturing one. So in that case, you tend to get more tensed and confused. Okay, so that's why my focus right now is on a service business question rather than a production one. So remember, if it's a service business question, there are very much chances that labor will be the limiting factor. And today, I will make this really easy for you. I'll tell you very good technique to handle the question. So guys, it's now time to move towards the past paper, and let's use ACCA practice platform here. Through this platform, we will be able to solve the question in a very good way. I would recommend you to use ACCA platform for your practice purpose as well, because it gives you a real feel of the paper, how it will be tested, and that is really, really important for your exams. Okay. So ACCA Resource Bank does provide all these things. Okay. So if you're taking classes from approved learning partner, so that learning partner, the institution should provide you the access of this learning platform where you can practice questions according to exam requirement. I'm just waiting for this to load so that we can start. Okay, it's failing to open. So let's go towards the other option. Okay, so here we have the question, and don't think that if you've done the question before, but with me, if you are learning anything, just try to find out the technique that I tell to handle a question, and every question is a different one. So yeah, you need to keep this in mind. So now we are solving a pure objective test case study question, GLAM company, which is in front of you. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, that my focus here will not be just to find out the answers, but the focus will be to tell you how to do the calculations in a very easy way. So let's start. GLAM company. Okay, listen. Just note down what I'm saying here. Somewhere where you can recap. But a throughput question, when you're reading the question, try to find out the process. Now, what is a process? Okay, let me tell you. Process, some kind of a process through which your product gets ready or through which you perform or complete your services. Every throughput question, mark my words, every throughput question will always mention the process, whether it's thin company, whether it's yam company, whether it's glam company, whether it's sweet street bakery company, whether it's solar system. I've mentioned all the past paper names here. Whatever the question is, process is given. So let's read and understand the process here. GLAM is a hairdressing salon which provides both cuts and treatments. So now this is a service business question. I want my friends to just find out exactly that what kind of services they are offering. So just try to figure out. You will not find product alpha or beta here, okay? Okay. This is Max. I can zoom here. Max. Okay, so glam companies considering salon which provide both cuts and treatments. So can you tell me what services actually they provide as a final product? That is cuts and treatments. Okay, all cuts and treatments at the salon are carried out by one of the salon three senior stylists. It's a labor-based question. The salon has two salon assistants, and 2 junior stylists. So there are 3 senior stylists, 2 junior stylists, 2 salon assistants. It's a service business, so labor will be the limiting factor. Okay. Every client attending the salon, now this is important for me. Every client attending the salon is first seen by salon assistant who washes their hair. Okay. Next by senior stylist who cuts or treats their hair depending on which type of service the client wants. And finally, a junior stylist who dries their hair. Now, listen. Be with me, guys. As I mentioned earlier, that always try to find out a process through which the product is passing through or a service is passing through. Now, salon offers 2 types of services. One is cuts, and second is treatments. Okay. Oh man. Okay. One is cuts and second is treatments. Right. Now, whether you're coming to salon for cuts or treatments, every person, if you are able to find out this process in a question, you will not get stuck. This is my promise to you. Okay. So every person comes and follow this process. And what is the process? Whether you are here for cuts or you are here for treatments, first you will meet who? You will meet the salon assistant, right? You will meet the salon assistant, right? Okay, who washes their hair. So, salon assistant who washes their hair. Try to understand. I will make your concepts really good today with this question only. Who washes their hair? And how many assistants are there? There are 2 assistants, right? Okay. Then, next by a senior stylist who cuts or treats. Okay. Then, senior stylist who cuts or treats depending on the service. And how many senior stylists do we have here, friends? So it's mentioned in the question that we have 3 senior stylists. If I'm not wrong, yeah, we have 3 senior stylists written here. Okay, 3. Then after that, what happens? Where they go? Do they go home? No. After this, they finally, a junior stylist who dries their hairs, and there are 2 junior stylists available. So after that, you go to the junior stylist who then dry their hairs, and there are 2. Now, and after this, the service completes. Service is finished. Okay. Now, friends, if you're able to determine in every manufacturing or the service question that what is the process, so remember, out of these 3, 1 will be the limiting factor. It could be assistant being slow in work will be a limiting factor, or senior stylist slow in work will be a limiting factor, or junior stylist slow in work will be a limiting factor. Did you notice what I said 3 times? Was the word slow. So yes, through slow you figure out which is a limiting factor. You know, any person or labor or machine that is slow in production, which means they will produce less number of units, okay? And if they produce less number of units, which means they will not be able to maximize the profits for the company, right? So, either assistant or senior stylist or junior stylist will be the limiting factor. Let's see whether it's mentioned or not. I'm praying that it should be mentioned here. Anyways, let's now move on. The average length of time spent with each member of the staff is as follows. Now, what exactly this means? So, my students lack in this understanding as well. They don't know what this means. So, it is very simple statement, and I can write here average length of time spent with each member of the staff in very simple terms. If I tell you in terms of manufacturing, I will tell you these are hours per unit. In a manufacturing term, if I tell you, these are hours per unit. Okay, hours per unit, which means assistant takes zero point 0.1 hours to perform one cut. For treatment, 0.3 hours. Senior stylist takes 1 hour for cut and treatment 1.5. Junior stylist takes zero point 0.6 and treatment 0.5. Okay. Now, the salon is open for 8 hours each day for 6 days per week. It is only closed for 2 weeks each year. Staff salaries are 40,000 each year for each senior stylist. Okay, $28,000 each year for each junior stylist, and 12,000 each year for each of the assistants. Okay, now up till now, did you find any material cost here? It's a salon. So for a salon, what will be the material cost? Let's have a look. The cost of cleaning products applied when washing hair is 1.5 per client. Now this is the material cost. Cleaning, shampoo, soap. This is the cleaning cost or material cost. The cost of all additional products applied during treatment is 7.4. So these are other products that are being applied here. Other salon costs, excluding labor and raw, which doesn't include labor and raw, amounts to 104 each year. So what is that cost? Obviously, this is basically your operating expenses. Okay, this is your operating expenses. So it's written here. These are 106,400 each year. Glam charges 60 for each cut and 110 for each treatment. Wow. Senior stylist time has been correctly identified as the bottleneck. So in this entire process, this is very much clear that which labor is the limiting factor. So now it's clear, very much evident that labor is the senior stylist is the limiting factor. So out of 3, senior stylist is the limiting factor. Now once you have found out the limiting factor, then your entire working of throughput accounting ratio will be performed based on this limiting factor. Everything will be worked out using this limiting factor. Okay, so are we clear about this? Yes. So let's see what is being asked as a first question. So let's move back to the question. And the first question is, what is the annual capacity of the bottleneck activity? Now, limiting factor could also be said as bottleneck, okay, constraint, okay. So we need to work out the annual capacity of the bottleneck activity. Now, what annual capacity is? Annual capacity means the number of services that senior stylists can perform, or I would say the in a manufacturing we say production capacity. Okay, so it will tell you the number of units that one machine can manufacture. So in this case we'll say how many services senior stylists can provide in total, annual in total. Okay, so for that, what exactly we need to do here? So let's have a look here. As I need to work out the annual capacity. So for that, what I need is annual hours of senior stylist. Annual hours. So annual hours could be worked out by the salon is open for 8 hours each day for 6 days per week, right? It is only closed for 2 weeks each year. Okay. Now, if you see here, can you work out the annual hours of senior stylist? Because if you need to find out annual capacity, the output, so you need to find out the hours, right? So how will I work out the hours here? So is it possible? Yeah, it's very much possible. So let's work out. 8 hours per day the salon opens into 6 days per week, okay, into 2 weeks, it says that maintenance is being carried out. 2 weeks, it says that maintenance is carried out, which means 52 is the annual weeks that we assume. So 2 weeks is maintenance, which means how many weeks do we have in our hand, friends? We have 50 weeks, right? So yeah, 50 weeks. Okay. If I multiply 8 hours into 6 days into 50 weeks, I get how many hours? I get 2400 hours. Now, make sure that if salon is open 8 hours a day and 6 days a week and 50 weeks of the year, so 2400 hours is the time of salon. It's the time of salon. Agreed? It's the time of salon, which means every person who is in the salon, who is working in the salon, also is available for 2400 hours. Is that clear? If salon is operational 2400 hours, so every person working inside the salon, whether it's a senior stylist or a junior stylist, is available for 2400 hours, right? Okay. So how many senior stylists do we have like these? So the question has stated very clearly that we have 3 senior stylists like these, and these are 3 senior stylists. So I'll multiply this with 3, and when I multiply this with 3, so I get the answer of 7,200 hours. Okay, so this means the senior stylist time annual is 7,200 hours. Are you all getting my point, my friends? 7,200 hours are available for senior stylist. Okay, so if salon is open for 2,400 hours in a year and there are 3 senior stylists, which means each will work 2,400 hours, and all together you will have 7,200. Okay, so from where I get 3, it's very clear. I've mentioned so many times. Here it says 3 senior stylists. See, 3 senior stylists. I'm highlighting that as well. So now let's work out the annual capacity of senior stylists. Can we? Yes, now see, I've highlighted here the hours per unit I have, right? So that is 1 hour for cut and 1.5 hours for treatment. So it's time to work out cut, treatment. Senior stylist hours that are available annually are 7,200, and for each cut, how many hours does senior stylist spend? 1 hour, which means how many cuts he or she can perform? 7,200 cuts could be performed by senior stylists. For treatments, 7,200 hours are available, and it takes 1.5 hours for each treatment. So can any one of you tell me very quickly that how many treatments will be performed by the senior stylist, my friends? So that is 4,800, and this is my question number 1, where I will require to work out the total annual capacity of the limiting factor that I did. What's annual capacity? Is in production manufacturing terms, number of units, and in services terms, number of annual services. Very simple. So yes, the answer is 7,200 and 4,800. Now what I have seen in the past, that students struggle with this 3, and this is wrong. You miss out this 3 every time, because if you look at the options of the answer is giving you answer considering this 3 and ignoring this 3 as well. So this 3 is important because you need time for senior stylist. Okay, and if there are 3 senior stylists, so you have to multiply this with 3. Okay, So the answer 1 is 7,200 cuts and 4,800 treatments. Agreed? A quick one. Say yes or no. Easy? Or I made this easy? Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Now the second one. Why is it moving? Hello? Why it's struggling to run? Okay, we are back. Now, guys, are you ready for the second question? So, the question is, the salon has calculated cost per hour to be 42.56. Thank you, salon. So, what is this 42.56? So, let's go to our formula sheet and let's have a look. So, what is this? This is cost per hour. Cost per hour is what? Cost per hour is operating expense per hour. We can even call this as cost per hour. Okay. So operating expense per hour is also known as cost per hour. Okay. So they have already done the calculation of cost per hour, and that is given to us, which is here 42.56. Now comes the decimal policy. Okay. So we have to follow the decimal policy, guys. It says calculate the throughput accounting ratio for both services, two decimal places, okay? Cuts and treatments. So how will I do the working? How will I perform the calculations? So I will use my rough area here. I need to work out TPAR for cuts and treatments. TPAR. Okay, so the first part of the formula is to work out throughput per hour of limiting factor, and the formula is calculate throughput per unit, divide this with limiting factor hours per unit. Okay, so for that, what I'm supposed to do, friends, I need to work out throughput per unit. Let's start with cuts first. The formula is selling price minus variable cost. The selling price is 60 for cut and 110 for treatment. 60, 110. Okay. Second, what about the material cost? So you can see here cleaning cost will be your material. So it says the cost of cleaning products applied when washing client hair is 1.5. Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, every person who comes to the salon have to go to the assistant for the hair washing. Whether you came for cuts, whether you came for treatments, you have to go to the you have to go to the assistant for hair wash. Agreed? Come on, say yes. Agreed. So this means that anyone who is coming for cuts or treatments will go to the will go to the assistant for hair wash, and the material cost will be incurred. Okay, so yeah, 1.5 is the material cost for cuts, and this will be 58.5. Agreed? Now, for treatments, what do you think? Should I charge this 1.5 for treatments? If you are still confused about this, so my friends, remember this diagram. Every person coming for cuts or treatment has to pass through this process, and has to see the assistant for cutting or treatment, which means that yes, this means that you have to consider this material cost of 1.5 here as well. Are you getting my point? I hope my diagram made things really easy for you to understand, right? Okay, so let's move on. What else should I take here? Any other material cost? So it says the cost of all additional products applied during a treatment. Now, this material cost relates to treatment only. It's specific to treatment only. Okay, is 7.4 per client. So this is additional material cost that I will charge to treatments because this pertains to treatment only. So 110 minus 1.5 minus 7.4 will give me an answer of how much? So let's say it's 101.1 throughput per unit done. Let's divide this with senior stylist hours per unit. That is per service, okay? Because I need to work out per hour of limiting factor. As you can see here, I need to divide this with limiting factor hours per unit. Okay, so for that, what I'll be taking here is I'll be using the senior stylist time, which is 1 and 1.5. Okay, 1 and 1.5. So this is 58.5, and this is, let me compute, 67.4, right? Okay, so 67.4. So this is what? This is throughput per hour. We also call this as return per hour. We also call this as return per hour. Okay, so this is throughput per hour. Now, having done this work as well, it's time to divide this with operating expense per hour, which is also known as cost per hour. So that is already given to me in the question, which is 42.56. Okay, 42.56. So let's divide this with 42.56. Cost per hour, 42.56, 42.56, and this is your cost per hour. So after dividing this, you have TPAR. First answer is 58.5 divided by 42.56. So two decimal places, guys, two decimal places. So answer should be what? I'm getting 1.374. So what will I use here? What will I write? The third digit is below 5. The third digit is below 5. Okay. So if I need to round up this to two decimals, so this will be 1.37. I will take the lower value. Agreed. Now here if you wrote 1.38 in the fill in the blank, your 2 marks are gone. You are a goner. You will not get 2 marks, okay? Because section C has the liberty of own figure rule. I told you own figure rule in my previous days. Okay, own figure rule means that if you've done a small mistake, that mistake will not be penalized later on. But in OTs, in section A and B, you need to be dead right, dead right. Okay. Second, 67.4 divided by 42.56. 42.56. Okay. So the answer is I'm getting 1.583. So what should I write here? 1.58. Right. Two decimal places. 1.37, 1.58. Okay. Agreed, guys? Right. So let's cross check the answer. I have the answer here. And yeah, here you go. 1.37 two decimal places, 1.58 two decimal places. So what do you want? Do you want the answers to be shown in the exam? As I can see here, you can see here. What do you think, guys? Do you want this facility from ACCA? Okay, that would be perfect, right? If you get this one. Why not? Right. Done. Clear. Agreed? Okay. Now a quick concept building work and then moving towards the next OT. So what's the concept building work that I'll be doing here? Now, many people are unsure as to what TPAR exactly indicates. Unsure. Okay. So I'll tell you. Throughput is known as return per hour. So what you do, you compare return per hour with cost per hour. Okay, so listen, the limiting factor is senior stylist, and whenever there is a limiting factor, I can make my screen right because blur is due to internet issue only. Okay, so now friends, listen what I'm saying here. Concentrate. Now return per hour is what? Because limiting factor is senior stylist, and remember, in a case of limiting factor, the decision is taken considering that only. Let me give you a very good example. If you are short of money, so your every dollar that you will spend, that the decision of that spending will be considered using the money, the limiting factor. If time is the limiting factor, every minute you will spend, you will want to use that minute in the best possible way. Because senior stylist time is the limiting factor, so here we want to spend every hour of senior stylist in the best possible way, on the best possible service. Okay, so what we've done is that we worked out that cut is providing us a throughput of 58.5 per unit and per service, I would say, and treatment is providing me a throughput of 101.1 per service, right? So how many hours that cut requires? It's 1, and this requires 1.5. Considering this, on 1 hour, if I give 1 hour, listen what I'm saying, if I give 1 hour of senior stylist to cuts, on that 1 hour, cuts will earn 58.5 throughput. Okay, if I give 1 hour to treatment, so on that 1 hour, treatment is earning 67.5. Okay, so you can compare here the return that cut is providing you per hour of senior stylist or limiting factor is 58.5, and the return that you are getting per hour from treatment is 67.4. So it's per hour return that you have worked out. Now you're comparing this per hour return with the cost per hour. because it's an operating cost, so you know that it is of fixed nature. It is of what, guys? It is of fixed nature. So now you're seeing that if 1 hour of senior stylist is earning 58.5 from cuts and 67.4 from treatments, so what is the per hour operating cost? So the per hour operating cost of limiting factor is 42.56 for both the products. Now, why it's same for both the products? The reason is simple. Because by nature it's a fixed cost, and fixed cost is a cost that will be same whether it's cut, whether it's what you say treatments, whether it's alpha, whether it's beta, whether it's anything else. So the fixed cost will remain same for all the products. Okay. So what is TPAR? It's a comparison between return per hour and cost per hour. So guys, tell me, 1 hour of cut is generating 58.5 per hour throughput, whereas the cost per hour is 42.56. Is the return covering the cost? The answer is, come on, say yes. Whenever the return, the numerator will be covering the cost denominator, so mathematically the answer will be more than 1. Whenever numerator will be more than the denominator, mathematically the answer will be more than 1. So whenever the return per hour will be more than the cost per hour, so this means the per hour return is covering the per hour cost easily. That is why it's more than 1. And when it is more than 1, the answer is make or provide the service. Okay. So the decision is to make or provide the service. Okay. In case of B, the return per hour is 67.4, whereas the cost is 42.56. So is treatment return covering the cost? The answer is yes, because the answer is more than 1. So in this case as well, we'll say make or provide the service. So the decision rule is simple. When the answer is more than 1, this means that return per hour is more than the cost per hour. Return per hour is more than the cost per hour. Is more than the cost per hour. So if return is more than the cost per hour, then yes, you should make. If return is less than the cost per hour, so it's very simple. If return is less than the cost, so it should not be made. Okay. So I hope this is clear to all of you that what is TPAR? It's a comparison between return per hour and cost per hour. Okay. So the rule is clear. If it is more than 1, make it, because return is more. If it is less than 1, you will not make it. Okay. Clear, guys? Understood the concept? Thank you very much for your comment here. I'm doing my best. Okay. I hope I have made this easier. So guys, up till now, what's your feedback? More than 1, make it. Less than 1, do not make, because the cost is more than the return. Agreed? Easy? Okay, thank you very much. It's time for a short 5 minutes break again. We'll come up then and learn new fascinating things. See you in 5 minutes time. If you're not part of my group, WhatsApp at this number and become part of Rizwan Mania Performance Management World. See you in 5 minutes. Welcome back from another break. Okay, so I hope the session is going good up till now. And let's now quickly move towards the next question. Before that, let's look here, ways to improve TPAR. Okay, so friends, be with me. How to improve throughput accounting ratio is a question that's being asked from you people. How to improve throughput accounting ratio. Okay, so I'll make this really easy for you. Yeah, Sadullah, unfortunately it's the last day, but don't worry, I will help you further as well. So be part of the WhatsApp group and you can benefit a lot with me, okay? So don't worry, I'll be conducting certain sessions for you people later on. We'll let you know about that. Okay. So ways to improve TPAR. Now, how can we improve throughput accounting ratio? So let me quickly tell you, quickly just understand the impact of that, okay? Now, first is decrease material cost. If you decrease material cost, so it will increase your throughput per unit. Agreed? If material cost decreases, throughput per unit increases, right? Okay? And if throughput per unit increases, it will increase your throughput per hour as well. Yeah. And if your throughput per hour increases, throughput accounting ratio will increase. Right. So decrease in material cost will increase your throughput per unit, and this further will have a big impact and will increase throughput accounting ratio. Second is decrease. Okay. Second is decrease operating expenses. Now, if you decrease your operating expenses, okay, so decrease of operating expenses will do what? This will decrease your operating expense per hour, right? And if your operating expense per hour goes down, this means your throughput accounting ratio will increase, right? Simple. It will improve TPR. If your operating expense goes down, it will reduce your operating expense per hour, and hence it will increase your throughput accounting ratio. Agreed, guys? Okay. Now, third, increase your selling price per unit. Okay. So let's understand. If you increase your selling price per unit, so increase of selling price per unit will do what? It will increase your throughput per unit, right? And if your throughput per unit increases because of the selling price increase, it will increase throughput accounting per hour, and this will further increase TPAR. All right, what do you think? Is that right, everybody? Okay, so increasing selling price. Giving discount will reduce your selling price and will reduce your TPAR. So selling price per unit. Selling price per unit means that if you are reducing your selling price per unit, sorry, I beg your pardon, if you increase your selling price per unit, so increasing in the selling price will improve your throughput per unit, right? Yeah, it will improve your throughput per unit. And if it improves your throughput per unit, this means your throughput per hour will increase. and hence throughput accounting ratio will increase. Agreed? Okay, so increasing selling price. Last, decrease time to make each unit. Time to make each unit. If you decrease time to make each unit, what happens? So, first of all, let's determine where is exactly time to make each unit. So here you have this one. If you decrease the time to make each unit, if you decrease the time to make each unit, okay, so what will this result in? If hours per unit increases, which means your throughput per hour will increase. Yes, yeah, your throughput per hour will increase. If you reduce the time to make each unit in terms of hours, so your throughput per hour will increase, and this will increase your TPAR. Okay, so these are the ways. No, labor cost will not, because it's a fixed cost. David, we assume in throughput labor to be fixed cost. So remember this, okay? So if you reduce the hours per unit, which means that it will improve throughput per hour and hence will improve TPR. So now tell me, do you want to learn this easily? Say yes or no. If you want to learn this easily, so I'll make a very good mnemonic for you people, and that is most. M for material, O for operating expenses, S for selling price, and T for time. Most. Like it, guys? Yes, most. So M for material, O for operating expenses, S for selling price, and T for time. Okay? So, having said that, it's time to move towards the next OT that is waiting for us. So let's move towards the next one. Tell me, which of the three of the following activities could Salon use to improve TPR? This is the application. I'll give a recap and we do a question. Tell me, guys, which three of the following activities could the Salon use to improve the TPR? Number one, identify ways to reduce material costs for the services. Is this the right one? Come on, quickly say yes or no. Yes. Second, increase the time spent by the bottleneck on each service. Say yes or no. No, not increase, it's decrease. Okay. Improve the control of the salon's total operating expense. Come on, guys, say yes or no. Yes. Okay, great. Now, it will reduce operating expenses. Increase the level of inventory to prevent stock out. No. Increase the productivity of the stage prior to bottleneck. Prior to bottleneck. No. Nothing to do with this one, okay? Apply an increase to the selling price of the services. Yes. Provided there is no competition in the market. If in the scenario it would have mentioned that there is strong competition, then you could not have done that, okay? So that's why we say in section B, keep in mind the scenario. Okay? I hope this is clear to all of you. So the answers are clear, guys. Perfect. Okay. So if the question would have asked that there is severe competition, so remember then you can't increase the selling price. Now, we have one question in you want to understand the second last point, right? Wait, I'll make sure that you do understand this. So what it says increase the productivity of states prior to bottleneck. Okay, so I'll tell you that. Statement 5 is wrong. Yeah, it's wrong. And I'll tell you. Just wait. Let me move towards the next question. Through that, I will explain you statement 5, and that's experience, you know. So done with this one, everybody? Risk and uncertainty question. I have shared the link of that in the $1 million plan, my friend. Anything that I've done before, why should I repeat it here? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So if you're part of my group, you must have seen the $1 million plan of risk and uncertainty cement company question. Okay. Now, the next one, a very, very good question. Those who will be able to solve this, I'll give them 100 rupees. No, I can't give you 100 rupees. I'll just give you, you know, digital notes of $100. Okay. So let's see who is able to solve this one. What would be the effect on bottleneck if salon employed another senior stylist? Okay. Now, guys, tell me. I started the topic today by explaining you the basics, and the basics were that if you eliminate a bottleneck, this will give rise to another bottleneck. Do you remember that, guys? Okay, so right now, as per this question, senior stylist is the bottleneck. Now, this is a very good part, to be honest. Senior stylist is the limiting factor. Agreed? It is saying that right now we have 3 senior stylists, right? It is saying that if we increase one more, see, another senior stylist, if we had another senior stylist, currently we have 3. If we increase another one, which means that will be 3 plus 1, 4. So now if you have one more senior stylist here, will senior stylist be limiting factor anymore or not? This is the question, my friends. So what will you answer here? What do you think here? Will senior stylist be the limiting factor if you add one more? And how will you figure out that? So now, listen. If I add one more senior stylist, so from 3 this will become 4, and if this is 4, so how many hours we will have for the senior stylist altogether now? We'll have 9,600 hours. Is that true, guys? Say yes or no. Okay, this is true, right? We'll have 9,600. Okay, so if we have 9,600, so now we need to find out, will senior stylist continue to remain limiting factor or not? You know how to find out this answer? Let's look at the options. Option 1, the senior stylist time will be bottleneck for cuts only. The senior stylist time will be bottleneck for treatments only. The senior stylist time will remain bottleneck for both cuts and treatments. There will no longer be a bottleneck. Okay. Now, listen, how to find out. And through this, I will explain the basic concept about throughput accounting. And you will love it, to be honest. So be with me. I'm sure you'll learn a new thing today. Now, what I will be doing here, if I increase the hours of senior stylist and make it 9,600, so now let me see how many cuts senior stylist can perform. 9,600 divided by 1 will say give you answer of 9,600 cuts could be performed by the senior stylist. Okay. As for treatments, as the hours now are 9,600 divided by 1.5, so divided by 1.5 is 6,400 treatments now senior stylist can perform. Okay, right? But because in the question it was given to us earlier that Senior stylist is the limiting factor, so we knew about it. But just in case, now let's assume we don't know the limiting factor, because here the situation is that we don't know the limiting factor. Okay, we don't know the limiting factor. Are you getting my point? And I hope you remember the initial $1 million points that I told you earlier, that you need to find out the limiting factor if not given. And this is the case where you were given, but just in case if you are not given, then you have to find out that. Yeah. So this OT is asking us, if we increase the senior stylist, now who will be the limiting factor? So in short, it is asking us to find out whether it will remain limiting factor, it will change. So in short, it is asking us to find out the limiting factor. Wow. In short, it is asking us to find out the limiting factor. Agreed? Say yes or no. Come on. Come on. Yes or no? Yeah. In short, it is asking us to find out the limiting factor, right? Okay. So how to find out the limiting factor if not given? So what we can do? There are different methods to find out. Because of the time limitation, I will be covering one method. I'm covering one method, and that method is find total capacity of all. Find total capacity of all. Of all means of all labor or of all machines. So if it is a manufacturing business, so for all machines, and if it is a service business, for all labor. So this is the method. Find total capacity of all resources, I would say. Okay. So what other resources do we have? We have assistant. Oh, what happened? Yeah, assistant, and we have junior stylist. Listen, my friends, this is experience, and through this experience, I'm making this simple. So what I'm saying here, find total capacity of all resources. This is one method to find out limiting factor. I've done a lot of work on throughput. So right now, this is the method I'm using here to find out the limiting factor. Okay. And it says total capacity to find out for all resources. So let's find out. Tell me for how much hours a salon is open. So salon is open for 2400 hours, right? Okay. How many how many assistants do we have? 2. So this means hours available for assistants are 4800 hours. Senior stylist time is 9600. Assistant time is 4800. And how much time do we have of junior stylist? So because we have 2400 hours of salon and 2 junior stylists we have, which means 4800 hours are also available for junior stylist. Okay. Okay. What I'm doing here is that the way I worked out the capacity for senior stylist, in the same way I'll work out the capacity for assistant now, to see how many services assistant can provide and how many services junior stylist can provide. So are you all with me? A quick yes. Okay, you all are with me. Great. That's awesome. So let's see. 4800 hours available for assistant, for cuts and treatments both. 4800 hours are available of junior stylists for cut and treatments both. Agreed? So let's just check the time that they are taking. Yeah. So assistant takes 0.1 hours for 1 cut and 0.3 hours for one treatment. So here you need to help me out with the figures, okay? So let's divide. 0.1 makes 48,000 cuts, okay? And the second was how much? It was 0.3. Yeah. 0.3. So 4,800 divided by 0.3, 16,000 treatments. Okay. Which means assistant work is to wash the hairs. Okay. Which means assistant can wash hairs for 48,000 people who are coming for cuts. Understand the concept. I'll make concept very clear here. And assistant can wash the hairs of 16,000 people who are coming for treatments. Agreed? Okay. Now for junior stylist, the hours. 0.6 and 0.5. 0.6, can anyone help me with the figures? And 0.5. 8,000 for cuts and 9,600 for treatments. Okay. Now let's decide the limiting factor by looking at their production or service capacity. Remember, any person who comes at the salon needs to first go to the assistant for dry washing of the hairs, then they go for cut or treatment, and at last they go for drying hair. Now understand the concept of throughput and bottleneck. Bottleneck is limiting factor, okay? So very carefully listen what I'm saying. Let's focus first on cuts. 48,000 people came to the salon and assistant washed their hairs, and assistant washed 48,000 people hairs. Okay. Now just imagine 48,000 are standing and waiting for the senior stylist to call them. Their hairs are washed. How many cuts senior stylist can perform? Come on, you give me answer. So the answer is senior stylist can perform 9,600 cuts. Okay. Right. Now, out of that, how many people hair dry could be done by the junior stylist? And that is 8,000. Now you decide in this process which labor is the slowest one. Is it assistant? Is it senior stylist? Is it junior stylist? In short, can you tell me which one is producing less amount of services? Tell me. Which is producing less amount of services? And that is junior stylist. Now you tell me, if junior stylist can only dry hair of 8,000 people, okay, so is there any need then to wash hairs of 48,000 people? You tell me. If you listen, and this will be so funny, this will be so funny. If you wash hairs of 48,000 people and only 9,600 can go for cut, so what about the rest? What you will say them? Your hairs are now wet, go home and come back tomorrow and make sure that they remains wet. Wow. Are you getting my point? 48,000 people hairs have been washed. Okay, and they're waiting in a queue. Senior stylist can only deal with 9,600, and out of those 9,600, only 8,000 will go for the drying. So are you understanding that? Is there any inventory that will build up? Yeah. What's the use then of washing hairs of 48,000 and then telling them, sorry, our senior stylists don't have the time and our junior stylist doesn't have the time to dry the hairs. You go home and come back tomorrow. Are you getting the point? This is a congestion. This is a bottleneck. In the entire process, one is the most limiting factor due to which you cannot deal all the clients. Now you tell me, if you know that at the end of the day, only 8,000 people will get the complete service. Are you getting my point? Is this true? Only 8,000 will get the complete service of cuts? Say yes or no. Come on, tell me. Only 8,000 people will get the complete service of cuts. Then what's the use of washing hairs of 48,000 and cutting of 9,600, which means throughput says that there is no use of building up the inventory before the bottleneck. Prior, this is the bottleneck, right? So prior to bottleneck, there is no use of keeping up the inventory. Are you getting the point? Because you can't provide a complete service to more than 8,000. So if I ask you, what's the wise thing? The maximum, are you getting the point? The maximum people that you can deal and you should deal is how much? You tell me. The maximum wisely, the people you should deal is how much? Now, your concepts are perfect now. My mission achieved. My mission achieved. Your concepts are perfect. 8,000. Exactly. I should clap for you or for me? For you, because you understood that, right? So, yeah. Exactly. This is the limiting factor. This has been called as congestion. Congestion. Stoppage is coming here. Limiting factor. Okay? Done. Which means for cuts, the limiting factor now will be junior stylist. Will be junior stylist. Okay? Quickly, let's finalize now. Tell me for treatments, which one is the limiting factor? Let's see how easy you are finding it, determining the limiting factor. The more the answers correct will give me the confidence that you've understood. Okay, now let's have a quick working here. 16,000 people hair wash could be done by the assistant. Okay, so just imagine 16,000 hairs washed. Now they're standing in a queue and waiting for the senior stylist. Senior stylist can only perform treatment on 6,400, whereas junior stylist can dry hairs of 9,600. Out of the three in this process, which is the slowest one? The one that is performing less number of services is none than the other. Senior stylist is the limiting factor. So the limiting factor changed service wise. For cuts, it's the junior stylist, and for treatments, now it's the senior stylist, which means previously senior stylist was the limiting factor. But due to hiring of one more, junior stylist became limiting factor for cuts, whereas for treatment, senior stylist remained the limiting factor. Understood, my friends? What do you think? Say yes or no. So now, wisely tell me, if you know that senior stylist can only treat 6,400 people, so is there any use of washing hairs of 16,000 people? Come on, tell me. Is there any use of washing hair of 16,000 people? No use. No use. If you're doing, you're stupid. Because maximum you can deal is how much? 6,400. Because there'll be a line of people standing and they'll start, throwing things on you. Hello, we are waiting. Our hair are, so much wet. Do something. And you say, sorry, come tomorrow. They'll slap you. Understand? This is the congestion in the process. Congestion. We normally use this congestion, when we are sick, we say, doctor says you have a congestion issue. So this is a congestion. Some stoppage is there, and this is limiting factor. So this is one method to find out the limiting factor. If not given, you can find out limiting factor through this method easily. In fact, to be honest, there are two methods. Listen, there are two methods. One is this one, by finding out the production or service capacity of all the resources and finding out which is a one that is performing the slowest or less number of units. Okay, so this is one method to find out limiting factor. And there is another method that was tested in question sweets, treat, bakery, which I've covered in my December 2019 webinar. I'll share the link in the $1 Million Plan. If you cover that, so both the methods will be covered. Go. Happy? Both the methods will be covered. Okay? So remember, I told you, I taught you here how to deal with the limiting factor. I told you how to find out. I hope you're happy with this kind of a service. So we are done with this one as well. Let's choose the correct option. And the option is, come on, tell me. Senior stylist time will remain bottleneck for both cuts and treatments? No. Senior stylist time will be bottleneck for treatments only? Yes. Superb. Now your concepts are good. I'm happy about this. If people are benefiting from me in any sense, that is really good for me. I'm really happy about that. ACCA gave me a task this time. They told me to improve the passing ratio. They told me to focus on difficult areas, and I promised that I'll focus on difficult areas and I'll try to improve the passing ratio, and I tried my best in last 5 days. Okay, so please do give ACCA feedback about the way I took these 5 sessions. Do tell them whether your confidence increased, whether you learn new techniques. Do tell them whether you learn new techniques and your weaknesses were overcome or not. Because yes, they asked me to do that. I don't know whether you are satisfied with this or not, but please, after the session, you will get a feedback form that you always get every day. Please spare 5 minutes just for my sake and give them the feedback as to how this webinar improved your confidence and did you like the things or not. Okay. Yeah, Sweet Street Bakery I covered in December 2019. I'll share the link. Now the last question is for you people and decide what is the answer. Come on. Which of the following statements regarding theory of constraints are correct? Tell me please. First, it focuses on identifying 26. It focuses on identifying stages of congestion. You know, congestion in a process when production arrives more quickly. See, production arrives more quickly. Now, this will make very much sense. 48,000 people hairs have been washed. Production is coming more quickly, then the next stage can handle it, which means 48,000 people hairs are washed, but senior stylist can only do treatments of 6,400. I'm sure right now you are in a position to understand the entire English statement that is mentioned here. Are you? Tell me. Are you able to understand now what it means? So, is this statement true or false? The statement is true. Yes. This is theory of constraint. This is the limiting factor. 48,000 people hair wash, but sorry, we can just deal with 6,400. That's it. Okay. Second, it is based on the concept that organization manage three factors: throughput, operating expense, and inventory. So yes, there's no doubt about this one. See, throughput, operating expenses, and inventory. Simple, simple. Okay. So this is right. Third one. Come on, third I'm asking you. Tell me right or wrong. It uses a sequence of focusing steps to overcome single bottleneck, at which point the improvement process is complete. Come on, right or wrong? Right or wrong? Tell me, my friends, is this right or wrong? Okay, so it's wrong. You know, there is no single process. I told you, once you eliminate a bottleneck, this gives rise to another bottleneck. It's a continuous process. Yes, another bottleneck. Last, it can be applied to the management of all limiting factors, both internal and external, which can affect the organization. It's wrong because it is just focusing on internal limiting factors like machine hours or labor hours. So my friends, the answer is A, statement 1 and 2 are the correct statements. Agreed, my friends? Happy? Okay, nice. I hope you understood and you did get the confidence. And now you are clear about the concept of inventory. There is no use of keeping inventory at other areas of the process where you can just deal with 6,400. Okay, so $1 million points were helpful for you, I'm sure. ABC costing is a technique that I've covered in my March 2020 webinar. I conducted that and I have solved a very good question of service industry there. Throughput prefers having no inventory, but if you want to keep, it should be insignificant. So activity-based costing is a method through which we absorb the overhead costs into the products, okay? It's an alternative to absorption costing. And the steps of ABC are in front of you. We first break overhead into cost pool. For every cost pool, we find out cost drivers. Then we work out absorption rate and then we absorb, okay? I'll share the link. So ABC, you can cover from that video. Target costing is also covered in my previous webinars. You can cover that as well from a previous video. I'll share tomorrow the links of these, okay? Now we are done with these things, and yeah, I want you people, I just want to guide you now. Okay, I gave you one question for homework, if you remember, .co. Okay, I'll share the answer of .co on WhatsApp groups. So you can match your answer of .co, right? Okay, this is the slide. This is a summarized slide of environmental management accounting. I will share that as well. Now, my friends, I'll share the $1 million plan with you. Now, I just want to spend few minutes with you. 8 minutes are left. Before I start my important discussion, I just want you people to send me a WhatsApp message on this number. I will be conducting a revision for you people later on as well. You can part of that. You can be part of that. So just WhatsApp me so that you are part of my group, and for other materials as well. Now, I want you people to be positive. Listen very carefully. Don't leave. Don't leave. Just send me the message here. I'll add you in the WhatsApp group. Be positive. If it is your first attempt, so don't be overconfident. If you have given previous attempts and you got failed, so remember, this is a fresh attempt. Forget about all the negatives, about all the negativity, just throw out all the negativity. Today is 20th, our paper is on 9th. Okay, I'll just give you a quick plan here. 20th and paper is on 9th. Okay, so we have approximately 10 days in this month and 8 days in the next month, so you have 18 days altogether. Okay, I will share a plan for these 18 days. Those who are interested in getting the plan, please remain active in the WhatsApp group. I'll share. No, why? The paper is on 9th, right? Yeah. So I will give you a plan how to study in these 18 days. Okay? If you want to get that plan, most welcome. You can talk to me, interact me with this WhatsApp group, so don't leave it if you are serious. If you want my help till the last day, that I will provide you people, to be honest. It's not the end here. It has just started from today now. The support has just started from today. Okay? But my friends, I want you people to be positive. So tell me, will you remain positive? Yes, please. Will you remain positive? This is my number. This is my number. Will you remain positive? Tell me. Say yes or no. Come on. Okay. Will you do hard work in the remaining days? Are you ready for the hard work? Tell me. Yes. Let's give our best. Let's make ourselves confident about this, that we can do. Come on, everybody write. We will pass. I know you haven't given the paper. Just write it. We will pass. Come on, write it. We will pass. Yeah. Let me see how many are writing here. Just copy paste someone else's sentence and just paste it here. Okay, that's nice. So if you want to pass, you need to remain positive. You need to forget about your previous attempts, and you don't have to be overconfident. Focus on concept building and practice. You have to keep in your mind that you can't leave things. So to cover everything, I know 18 days are left. I don't know exactly what your preparation is, but what I want you people to do is that whatever you are doing, do that perfectly. Whatever you are doing, do that perfectly. Okay? It is very important for you to solve a mock before the paper. Now, this is extremely important. You have to solve the mock before the paper because mock gives you a really good chance to examine yourself. So this is not clear right now. I might announce mock for you people. This is not clear, but I might announce mock. If I will do, I'll update that on WhatsApp group. You solve the mock. Okay. You can go through at least 2 to 3 examiner reports of March 2020 examiner reports that are available on ACCA website. This will give you the idea what mistakes others did. So do read 1 to 2 examiner reports maybe of March 2020 and December 2019. Okay, and this will give you a really good chance to understand the mistakes. Okay, plus learn how to use formulas on a spreadsheet, because if you are not using formulas on spreadsheet, it is useless. So you can watch my videos, you can watch my previous videos, you can follow my $1 million plan for that and learn to use spreadsheets to maximum advantage. For theory, I've covered that in a very detailed way first day. I told you how to break verbs and objects. So write according to that. Agreed? Your answer of theory in word processing should be very structured one using logical headings, subheadings in paragraphs. Okay? And as for calculation on spreadsheet, use maximum formulas. Agreed? There are certain IT concepts that have been introduced, like big data, like enterprise resource planning systems. Okay, so if you are not clear about those, I will help you out in the WhatsApp group. Through WhatsApp group, I will help you out as to how you have to cover those areas. So don't worry, I will help you out that how you need to cover these. Okay. Now the only thing that you have to do now is that you have to remain in contact with me till the exam. I will set up certain things for you people in the coming days. So yes, remain active. Examiner reports are important that I've told you that you have to keep in your mind. ACCA practice platform should be used, and for mock I'll give you the update and about the revision as well. I do conduct revision every time for the students, so I'll tell you about that as well. That will be very interesting for you. Okay. Now, technical articles. I think there are certain articles that I will tell you to read. I'll share the technical article on the group. You will use that. Whatever content I'm giving you on the group, use that silently. Okay? Tell me, do you trust me? Say yes or no. No, people don't trust me. If you do, then follow what I'm saying. Agreed? Okay. So now before I end our official ACCA webinar, you will give your feedback to ACCA for sure. Okay, will you give feedback to ACCA about how good the webinar was, how confident you are, were weak areas covered well or not? Okay, do tell. Were weak areas covered not, or were covered well? Okay. Now, before I end, I need your honest feedback as to how the entire 5 days webinar went. This is feedback for me, and the next feedback you will give to ACCA. So give me your feedback because I don't receive your feedback that you give to ACCA. So what's your feedback about the entire 5 days? Did it help you to improve your confidence? Were your weak areas covered well? And you learn new techniques, especially the $1 million techniques. Did $1 million techniques help you or not? Please, your feedback will be really important for me. Okay, so thank you very much for your feedbacks. I'm looking at your feedbacks. I will share the plan with you people after the session. Do give me a small favor. Do share your feedbacks with ACCA as well, and do let them know whether my little effort helped you people to improve your skills, knowledge, and they did told me to improve the passing ratio. So I tried my best honestly, and I worked really hard. So I hope this will help you a lot. Thank you very much, my friends, for being so great audience here. Thank you very much to ACCA for giving me the opportunity to teach you people in mass numbers. I will not give up. I will give my best till the last day through the WhatsApp and other support. So please be with me till the end. The number is written here in the slide and below. Please do send me the WhatsApp message if you're not part of the group, and do share your feedback on the WhatsApp groups as well. Thank you very, very much for trusting me, attending the session. Rizwan Mania, inshallah, will not disappoint you. Best of luck for your papers. Signing off, Rizwan Mania. Take care.